Hi, folks, and welcome to the Political Matrix News. I'm Scott Miller, and this is my longtime business partner, Greg Fink. I have to clarify business partner because one time I just told someone that a guy with me was my partner, and they assumed that we were together. And I'm like, wait a minute, we're not a couple. First of all, I can do way better than that guy. Not this guy. This guy's a jewel. That other guy, like, no, that business partner. Okay, he's my business partner.
Party in the front, business in the back.
I'm telling you, we've been in business for 30 years, and just have collective, family involvement in politics. I don't remember a time when my family wasn't deeply involved in politics, whether having, family members elected to office or just, involved in various kinds of activism. My aunt and uncle were part of the farmers' strike in the 70s. It was a great time.
And my mom's side of the family, they were tied up all the way from Ronald Reagan to Jack Kemp and all those guys up there in the Northeast and all them people up there. But we've been involved in politics and performing in politics and everything for a long, long time. And the mechanic side, we've only been doing that for 30 years, only 30 years. I know we look so young, but I turn like 49 again tomorrow, and so it's going to be great. But what do you think of this entire press conference? First of all, you guys haven't seen it. We're going to play a snippet of it here on the segment on today's podcast. So please download it. It's the most entertaining press conference you will ever see. It's fun.
If you haven't seen it, you really have to see it.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job, do something different. Just can't go back. If you go back, it's going to end up the same way it has for 100 years.
Magical. Trump said that he was going to bring a golden age of America. And here 2 weeks in, it sure as heck looks like he's going to deliver.
We're going to have golden Trump towers in Gaza.
I know. Now, I will say this. We're busy here getting all effusive and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I have some things I have reservations about. This Gaza thing, I think it's a great, if we can pull it off, it's a great idea.
It's great.
My only concerns is how are we, he's talking about us owning things, and I'm just not sure what the mechanism for us owning them is going to be. But but in the world of problems,
that details,
that's tiny thing. I have faith we'll figure out a way to hold this property as a U.S. territory or something like that.
Yeah, so we watched Joy Reid and MSNBC and CNN, and that is the most entertaining part of the whole damn mother freaking thing. And we're going to go ahead and break to a segment here of Imperialism 101, taught to us by Joy Reid by MSNBC. Real quick, watch this.
There are days and nights in this business when you have to leave open the possibility that you can still be surprised. I might even say stunned. I think this is one of those days. Donald Trump making news in the biggest possible way. I'm going to read you the quotes that I think are stunning to just about everyone who heard them today after a day of calling for the people of Gaza, who he numbered at 1.8 million, to be relocated out of the Gaza Strip. Today, Donald Trump said the following about the Palestinian people. They can instead occupy all of a beautiful area with homes and safety, and they can live out their lives in peace and harmony instead of having to go back and do it again. The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do it, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site, and get rid of the destroyed buildings. When he was pressed on whether or not he would be willing to use the military to accomplish the U.S. takeover of the Gaza Strip, he doubled down on that, said we will do what's necessary. We'll do what's necessary. If it's necessary, we'll do that. We're going to take over the peace and we're going to develop it. He referred to the Gaza Strip as the Riviera of the Middle East.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
She never disappoints. I will say this: she never disappoints. You know, the thing that bugs me the most about her is, isn't she supposed to be a lawyer or something like that? I mean, you would think that someone with some certain level of education would be able to articulate better than that. You know, it's supposed to be she's supposed to be, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, half the people on the View are lawyers. I know.
I mean, they have degrees.
Hostin,
they went to school.
Yeah, they went to school.
Which right now doesn't really say all that much. I mean, if you're going,
I don't know. It kind of makes you believe that maybe she's the DEI hire. Not Kamala. It's just, you know, the Joy Reids and the Sonny Hostins. You know, they're certainly DEI hires at the View because they're not bringing any brains to the operation. They got some of the dumbest white people I've ever seen, and they're bringing black people that do not do a good job of representing the black community. Because they're not, you know, they're not smart. They're well educated. They're just not doing anything with that education.
I mean, the whole deal here, it goes back to the USA thing we talked about in the last segment. Okay, one thing we did not talk about was that they funded a terrorist group by millions of dollars. And so, I mean, basically, USAID has been into pro-terrorism. And so, once again, here with the Gaza Strip, the only group there who we're picking on is Hamas. We're not picking on little children. We're not picking on women. We're not picking on regular men or anything. We're picking on soldiers of Hamas and Hezbollah. We're picking on people who want to destroy America and the Jewish state. We are picking on terrorists, which, by the way, all the drug cartels are now also labeled terrorists nationwide and worldwide. And so the whole idea here is we're against terrorism. It's consistent with that. It's very consistent with the fact that we want to destroy terrorists, and basically we want to make the area safer. And so, I mean, the whole idea of us, you know, going into Gaza and fixing it and everything else, I mean, basically, I mean, we could go ahead and do it to them what we did to the Caliphate and to the ISIS here a few years ago, where we just carpet bombed the mother out of them. And, you know, they had a little white flag, and the white flag probably had holes in it. But, you know, it's, you know, it is what it is. I mean, the spoils go to the victor. That's how Rome and, you know, the medieval days and ever since history of time, China was, you know, I mean, we're not trying to be imperialistic here. We're trying to be peacemakers. We're trying to create peace. Okay, if you guys want to go ahead and keep feeding the beast that kills children, keep feeding the beast that kills women and children and at a historic rate, then be it. You know, go ahead and own it. Please own it. Like the guys who are storming the Treasury building. They're owning the funding of terrorism. They're owning it. Go ahead, do that. Please, identify yourselves. Because all we're doing here is we're going to go ahead and fix Gaza, make it a beautiful, safe place. Now, granted, the whole making it a Riviera, like Trump talks about in his press conference and everything else, is a little bit, you know, creative.
Listen, actually, it's not as far-fetched as you think it is. Because if you look at the areas that the Jews occupy over there, they're well irrigated. They're green. They're green bands. They're gorgeous areas. The only wastelands are the places where the Gaza Strip and the places that the Palestinian Authority is has been in charge of for years. And the reason that they can't get anything going there is because they take the money that is sent over there to put in, you know, irrigation systems and water systems and stuff like that. They divert that over to go to Hamas.
Exactly. And it's like North Korea. I mean, South Korea is a beautiful country. North Korea is a horrible bastion of famine and no growth in any area. The crops are dried up. The growth is dried up. The entrepreneurism is dried up. The economic, you know, structure of North Korea is totally done because they're taking all the money that we give them for humanitarian effort. They take it all and put it into the military. They take it all to buy rockets or to study for nuclear weaponry and stuff like that. They don't do anything to help the people. And this is what America's doing.
And you mean the Hamas and the Gaza people? Because of course we don't give any money to North Korea.
That's the same course, of how North Korea treats their money and everything else, and the Gaza people are treating their money the same way. They're using it for imperialism, using it for war. They're using it for war. They're using it for war. If you haven't noticed, I'm repeating that for a reason, because they don't give a fuck about their people, and they don't give a damn about their children or anything.
The Palestinians.
Palestinians, correct. Hamas, Hezbollah.
You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful
Right, you mix them up together.
bringing up North Korea and then transitioning over there, because then it sounds like you're saying that North Korea is involved in wars, and
North Korea involved in the war in Ukraine. So,
well, I was going to say that the Ukraine war that they got involved in is the first time that they've had soldiers in firing guns in anger since the 50s.
I know.
With frankly predictable results.
Yeah, they're not there anymore, I don't think.
Yeah. So I mean, they're not. They don't. It is just hilarious. Those guys, they don't get. They are too inept to even start to get into wars, and I'll guarantee you that the people, the soldiers that North Korea sent, were far from their top tier guys. They were people who had done something wrong. It was either, hey, you can volunteer for this duty, or we'll just go ahead and send you to a re-education camp.
Exactly. Now let's go ahead and talk about Ukraine real quick, since we're on the battles of war and everything. Looks like, I guess, Trump made a deal with Ukraine for land rights there too. I mean, hey, this is what happens when you put a realtor, a development realtor, in charge of the country. Now, the first term he didn't get to exercise his real estate demons. However, this term here, fuck it. I mean, he's Mr. Realtor, Developer 101, President 101, and a king, Midas, whatever. Because now he's going to get a portion of the earth rights as a payment from Ukraine for him to help settle the war in Ukraine and Russia, which I think is brilliant. And then you topple that with Panama is now, because Rubio went down there as Secretary of State, Panama is now reversing the Chinese-controlled areas and making it U.S.-controlled again. Says, hey, we did lose 38,000 people and died of making that canal for them. You're welcome. And so we should get a little special race. You're welcome, because so many of our guys died for you, for your help. And
you mean
more
than $1?
Yeah, more than $1. 38,000 guys fall from the bridge or in construction injuries and malaria. And so, I mean, it's about time we, get a little bit of credit back on that. I don't know what the hell Carter was thinking, get rid of that one. But so we're getting that back with Rubio. And then Greenland is open to the idea of us opening up more military exercises and more military expansion in Greenland. They're not really keen on the idea of selling us any land yet at the moment, but they are keen on the idea of us protecting them more. And so,
well, a week ago, Mexico and Canada said there was no way in hell that they were going to
do anything.
And now all of a sudden, whoa,
they love us.
Now we're getting some, getting there actually. So it's
or protecting them.
Well, we've been protecting Canada for decades. Canada,
exactly.
That's the hilarious thing about Canada. Canada, they're a member of NATO. We have to defend them. They are in the group with the 3 or 4 lowest contributors. I don't mean like dollar contributors. I mean GDP percentage contributors. And
what, you hear about NATO?
Is there a new NATO thing?
They got their money. Because Trump went in there the first day, asked for everybody to kick in their 5% of their GDP. They got $960 billion already, without even America kicking in yet. Thank you. Thank you, guys. We really appreciate it. Biden, Democrats, this is how it works, okay? This is how it freaking works. You ask and you get. You don't keep on kicking the can down the road as if you're this stupid asshole that just doesn't know anything about how to run a country. We are a superpower for a reason. No other reason.
The reason, you see, this is a time-honored trick where these guys will say, okay, well, we're going to form a committee to do this, and then based on their report, then we're going to do that, and then based on that report, and then they make the process so long and arduous on purpose, so that they know that by the time they get to the decision point, it'll be so far down the road and either be so watered down, so stacked with entirely unrelated things, or just not happen. Any of those 3 outcomes is perfectly fine with the status quo. I'm not going to say the Democrats. It's perfectly fine with Washington. Washington
Right.
doesn't like to stop spending money because if
Power.
I'm a Republican and I vote to take away the Democrats' spending for something that's important to them, then they're going to do the same thing to me. So, oh my gosh, my constituents will get mad at me and I won't be able to work here for 30 years and make millions of dollars. You know, that's Washington thought.
Yeah, well, another cool Washington thought I saw this week was whenever Chuck Schumer was bringing out the reasons why, the tariffs in Mexico are dangerous for America. He brought out we're going to show the video real quick here. Yeah, you see all of that. See, Chuck Schumer is bringing out Corona beer and avocado. And then he had his big bald spot on top and everything else with his little readers down. And so, yes, because he's very much in touch with everybody. Guys.
Because I don't know what's more pivotal in my life than Corona and guacamole.
Exactly. I mean, and you think that's a stirring argument. And that's actually right around the time Mexico gave up. I mean, it was within the same hour. So there's okay, we're going to send the troops. This American bozo over here is embarrassing the entire cause.
I guarantee
you that's your leader, guys. That's your leader.
I guarantee you the people in Mexico looked at the guy that was defending them and said, this isn't going to work. We just will give up. Because if that's the guy that's defending us, we are screwed.
Then you got Elizabeth Warren going at her screeching level of high pitched, making the birds cry and glass crack. I mean, oh my gosh. I mean, that was some high pitched screaming.
It was.
And it really wasn't. It didn't matter on what it was. I mean, she's been being in a screaming mode the last 2 weeks, ever since the confirmation hearing started. I mean, and also
because she's desperate. She's desperate to derail. Yeah, she's desperate to derail something that she has absolutely no way of influencing. It's eventually going to get to the thing that's going to embarrass her the most. Although after claiming that she was a Native American and getting tests back that says
that's why she's like honesty or transparency.
Yeah, that Trump was more Indian than she was. Well, I think we know where that's going to go.
That's why the transparency thing scared the crap out of her, and it should scare the crap out of her. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these Democrats. I mean, remember Bernie Sanders? His wife was hiding all that kind of money. She was the president of a university up there in the Northeast. I forgot which university it was, but I mean, it's there's scandals all wrecked throughout the halls of the legislature. I mean, one thing we just got to notice here: Pam Bondi to get approved, and so. Approved 54-46. There's almost party line. Maybe one Democrat voted for her. It looks like Kennedy got through the biggest committee he had to get through today. So looks like he's probably going to be approved here. And Tulsi Gabbard, because she did not come out and say that Snowden was a traitor, which I do not think he was. I think he was a guy who did a wonderful thing of showing exactly all the weaknesses of the federal government snooping on us. By the way, like TikTok. And so basically, Snowden showed everybody that the federal government is the identical to TikTok 15 years before TikTok even existed. Now, wrap your brain around it real quick. I mean, TikTok didn't even exist 15 years ago. The federal government had all the metadata on all of us that they're upset. Who are the Chinese having now? Which, granted, I don't really want China to have it, but I already think they already got it already, in my personal opinion. But I'm not a cybersecurity expert.
No, they already got it. It's not a reason to not care about it. They already got it is a reason to stop it so that everything they got is out of date.
That's true, too. But everything changes daily, so.
Yeah, but,
either way, but
it's a big deal. It's got
for saying Snowden was not a traitor. And so.
Wait, what happened now? I'm sorry.
They asked her if Edward Snowden, the hacker,
right,
from a long time ago.
I don't know what's the consequence that you said. What was the consequence you're talking about?
Well, that's during the confirmation hearing for Tulsi Gabbard, because I guess she defended Snowden a long time ago.
So
there's that because she's in charge of DNI, and she might be giving other traitors like him access to information.
All right, understand the hyperbolic statements. did anything come to fact, or did they just or they just spew a lot of bullshit?
Spewing.
All right. Well, how is that any different than every other? The only confirmation hearing that didn't experience that was Marco Rubio.
Hey, he was unanimous, by the way. Perfect. Yeah. 99 to zip.
Which does make me a little nervous. I mean,
Democrats though.
Yeah, if my policy for the longest time has always been that if everyone in the government agrees on something, it can't be good for us. So I'm going to reserve judgment on Marco.
And we know Marco personally. Okay, he's not that. I mean,
we know Marco, but I'm just saying that it kind of makes me a little nervous. I mean, I'm going to fall out right now on I think Marco's a great choice, but I'm going to keep my.
He's going to do a great job. He's going to do a great job, especially with the Latino American. I mean, he's a Cuban American guy. He's going to be doing great with Venezuela and El Salvador, other Hispanic countries, and negotiating a lot of deals with them. It's going to really be crossing the Rubicon in a lot of areas, and so I think it's really good. And honestly,
that is a lot of the reason. Yeah, that's a lot of the reason that I support him is because a large chunk of our current problems are going to be in Latin America, and he doesn't have to wait for the translation. He can sit there when they're sitting there running their mouths. He can go rapid fire right back with them as fast as they can spit out whatever it is they're saying.
Right.
So
and now he's in charge of U.S.
Now he's in charge of U.S.
Well, there's a failing of it.
I mean, I was making a little bit of a joke to say that about him, but I am, every move that he's made so far, I've been very proud of.
Oh yeah, very good. And now,
I'm not going to. And I don't care about that. I don't care about what anyone's wife does.
No, what I'm saying is that she's in charge of the Department of Education now, which tonight they have decided to go ahead and dismantle the Department of Education. The executive order was signed today.
Well, you got to stay away from talking points, man.
No,
what the executive order. See, you can't do the vague thing that the Democrats do when they're trying to make us to say negative things. You can't do the same thing with positive stuff. What he did was he signed an executive order. What Trump did was he signed an executive order that freezes all of the discretionary spending. And that's all that he can do. If you suggest he did that he with an executive order he dismantled the entire department, then it kind of makes it sound, like it's all bullshit, because it would be, because he can't dissolve the department without cooperation of Congress. What he can do is finish is make it so that a huge chunk of what they're doing stops, and when things get better, say, see what cutting half their budget did? Now let's get rid of the rest of it.
Right. So I see him on my dismantling part. And so, I mean, because to me, I mean, it's not a talking point. And to me, my point of view here is that, basically, Linda McMahon came in to go ahead and usher in the whole downsizing and everything else of the educational department at a federal level. And he's really pushing homeschool issues. He's pushing more funding to the states. He's pushing a lot more of state control over the educational system. It's at federal control. And that's, they're cutting what they can cut legally. And basically they're cutting a lot of the personnel that they can cut legally. And so a lot of it has to do with, without the personnel, you can't really push all the agenda as well. And so they're getting rid of a lot of the personnel. But they're not controlled.
And that's why I say you have to include that little part in there legally.
Right.
You can't you can't just gloss over it with this one. You shut down the Department of Education. No, he didn't shut down the Department of Education. What he did was he hamstrung the Department of Education so that we can demonstrate that we don't need them.
Yeah, and so his whole idea, though, I mean, and his goal is to basically make sure the states take over. I mean, he's a very big states' rights guy, all the way from the fire departments, all the way from FEMA, all the way from abortion to this. I mean, his whole idea here is that states and other people operate than the federal government ever does. And he's correct. And so that being said, I mean, as far as the apparatus that we know today, as a DOE, it's not going to be the same thing in a year from now. It's going to be a lot different in a year from now, what it is now.
Yeah,
So,
it's
great. I think it's wonderful.
No, and brings to mind one of my favorite Westwood Swing scenes.
I started
When
watching
they
that again.
introduced, I know that's what made me think about it. When they introduced Emily Proctor's character, the Ainsley Hayes character, and her wrap up on the news story was to say that we needed to give money directly to the states and the counties and stuff like that, just in case the needs of Crenshaw in Los Angeles are different from the needs of a school in Kirkwood, Oregon.
Right.
And it's absolutely right. The needs or the needs of every place from Los Angeles,
every community is different.
Brownsville, Texas, to Maine to Miami. All of these areas have very different things that they have to deal with their budget, and giving them money directly to them is the way that they handle those things.
Whenever people talk to me about federal issues and state issues, I tell them, I said, every state has a different drinking, a speed limit. Drinking issues are different. Gun issues are different in every state. Car insurance is different in every state. Housing insurance is different in every state. Your mortgaging, everything else is pretty much controlled by the states and your zip codes that you live in. Every single thing that you touch, every apparatus is touched by your zip code or the demographic of where you're living in. And so get over it. That's the way America is. Our communities are different. Schools are different everywhere. And so, you have to link up to that fact.
Yeah, the only standardizing we need to do is standardize how we measure things. Now,
right.
Not how we implement things, just how we measure them, so that we can compare, reasonably how things are stacking up, and maybe Los Angeles is having not as good a results as Miami is having. So that doesn't mean that you increase the funding for Los Angeles or you decrease the funding for Miami. It means that you look at what's causing it, not simply decide to write a bigger check.
Exactly, because there's a lot of intangibles that come into play with all the budgeting of your schools or your law enforcement. Everything is all localized like that. But why is it more successful over here and not successful over there? It really depends on the local situations that everybody's facing at the time. Like right now, how come South Florida recovers from a hurricane faster than California recovers from a fire or an earthquake? And so basically,
how come South Florida recovers from a hurricane faster than North Carolina does?
Exactly. And so, so you have different emergency disasters and a whole bunch of different calamities that happen, and people handle them all differently, and they adjust accordingly. And so, that being said, the school system, what he's doing with the Department of Education, is a perfect example of that, because schools are totally different on the south side of Chicago than they are, in the nice, wonderful parts of Dallas. And
well, I will tell you from personal experience, the needs of South Chicago are different from the needs of Northwest Florida.
Exactly. Anywhere in Florida, right now, our educational system here, it differs greatly depending on what county you go into. It really has a lot to do with the funding and everything.
Well, on top of all of it, as they made, they said very directly during the campaign that we spend the most per student in the world, and we have some of the worst educational outcomes.
The whole idea that the teachers union, the DOE wants to keep parents out of the school, or like in Virginia, they're calling parents terrorists for going to school board meetings and speaking up about the schools. In Okaloosa County here, we have issues here with teachers sleeping with students at a record pace of sexual assaults and everything else. And it's one of the highest rates in Florida. However, educational standards are still very good, but their moral standards are not the same. And so you have a lot of different intangibles that affect schools and everything differently. And people realize it's not just about teaching your kids, it's keeping them safe. And basically, people are, they're at school more than they're awake at home. They're at school 9-10 hours a day, a 24-hour day. And so, it's a very important thing for education to be localized as much as possible. Because even with Okaloosa County having those problems, they still find a way to overcome. The teachers still, the students still do very good. You're in Santa Rosa County, and it's Gambia County, where you got the tale of two cities there. Santa Rosa County is like one of the top of the state, and just 1 mile away, Escambia County is one of the worst in the state.
I know. When I first got married, we moved from downtown Pensacola to out down the highway in Gulf Breeze, and my young bride at the time was all worried that none of her friends were going to come visit her out there. We'll never see anybody, and we'll just have to live out there. Like, honey, let me tell you something. The difference is that public schools in Santa Rosa County are like the private schools in Escambia County,
right? Except
they're free. Having a good, solid public school education system, that's critical. And
it is.
And why parents are not. I mean, I have empathy for educators. I want them to have the best time that they can. The problem that we have with the education system right now in America, in my opinion, is that we have way, way, way too many administrative staff people versus actual people teaching. So why don't we take the money out of and the reason, frankly, that we have so much administrative staff is because they have to make sure that we're in compliance with federal laws that come from the Department of Education, or essentially laws. They're not even frankly laws. They're just they're rules. They're administrative rules that are put in place by the Department of Education, and they cost the districts money because you have to hire all these people to make sure we stay in compliance with them. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm glad that we're talking about getting rid of this rule-generating machine. Every rule-generating machine in Washington creates a burden on taxpayers that makes everyone's life just a little bit harder every day, and it's time for it to stop.
It is. I mean, and that's actually the answer on how we're going to get America back where it needs to be. I mean, it already starts in education. I mean, it really does start there, because with a very poorly educated workforce, you got a poorly educated workforce. And then,
the bottom line is that we'd be able to pay teachers a lot more money if we weren't paying administrators so much.
Exactly. And if we could actually cut a lot of the red tape and everything else out of it, we'd be able to pay everybody a lot more money. But the thing is, I don't think we should just be paying teachers more money. I think they need to earn it. It needs to be meritocracy.
Well, by saying we can pay them more money, I don't mean we just write them a new check. I'm saying that we give them metrics that they can reach that have nothing to do with whether or not with any sort of DEI metric. Just
that's the one thing about taking DEI out of that. That's great. How they take the DEI out of the federal government, basically by doing that, they take the DEI out of the schools and everything. So that's really good.
Amen.
But I think we're going to wrap it up here tonight. I think we've had enough here to talk about today. Thanks for joining us here tonight. And we are going to be back. We're going to try to do this here more frequently during the week. I think we're going to have a show here on Mike Bates here tomorrow. And but we're going to try to keep on top of all the very, very quick, rapid pace of news coming out by the Trump administration, because he is a rapid fire guy.
Amen.
Quick to the stick.
Golden age of America.
Yes, remember that. This is the golden age of America and of Tel Aviv and of Gaza and of the rest of the world. It's the golden age of the world. And so
absolutely. And here I am basking in all this, warm and happy at the Gulf of America.
Exactly. When the Gulf of America, Florida, baby. Y'all stay tuned. Right. We'll be back. And make sure you subscribe, like us, share us, do everything you can to help us overcome the algorithm as against any kind of conservative free speech. So we have got to put us out to that. And please help us put us over that hurdle. Y'all have been doing great, by the way, also. We've enjoyed all the new subscribers we've had on Facebook and on YouTube and on Twitter also, or X, I guess you would call it. So thank you guys for subscribing, and please just keep getting us out to your friends. Have a good evening.